From gouging out eyeballs to wacky elbow swinging, no one plays dirty in the ring like Jon Jones, and fighters are now calling him out for being the dirtiest fighter ever. But why are they calling him that? Well, with his freakish physique and an 84.5-inch reach, Jon Jones is honestly unbeatable. That's why he has the longest win streak in UFC history, but he also has some of the most controversial wins. And if you're a fan of Bones, you would know the man's willing to resort to the dirtiest tactics to get the W. Picture this: a wild bull in a cage with a crazy fighting offense. I'm talking eye pokes, spinning elbows to the back of the head, karate chops to the knees. He's uncontrollable. And if smashing skulls in the lightweight division wasn't enough, now he's heading into the heavyweight division. So how are other fighters reacting to this? Well, his past opponents are mad about Jones slipping past all the rules, and one man especially is furious about it. Yes, Rampage is not having it at all. One of Jones' former opponents was full of praise for the champ. Quinton Jackson recently told Chris Van Vliet that Jon Jones is a great fighter.
Jon Jones turned out to be like one of the best fighters in the world, and he got me with one of my most weaknesses, the rear naked choke.
Even if he was standing in this room, I would say it. But the praise came with a surprise twist. He's the dirtiest fighter ever. The guy is so smart, he does the dirtiest things. And if anyone deserves to call out Jones, it's him. Do you remember how the two tangled back in 2011 at UFC 135? After winning back-to-back decisions over Lyoto Machida and Matt Hamill, Rampage was challenging Jones for the UFC light heavyweight title. But the fight took a bloody turn, and Jones landed an oblique kick right on Rampage's knees, a kick that cost Jackson his career. For Jones, the fight ended with a fourth-round submission victory, and Jackson would go on to lose his next two UFC fights after that before securing a release in 2013 from UFC altogether. So I totally understand why Rampage is hungry for revenge and attacking Jones outside the ring. Describing his fighting style, Jackson warned fighters that even if they get the slightest advantage, they shouldn't get too ahead of themselves. Why? Because he'll kick their knee backward. But what about his next best dirty tactic? Well, it involves him poking his opponent's eyes. This isn't news to anyone, right? For years, fighters have been accusing Bones of using eye pokes to gain an unfair advantage. Many are even calling him an eye-poking pro. I mean, everyone remembers UFC 128. The very night he was crowned the youngest UFC light heavyweight champion, he landed a painful series of eye pokes in the second round. Even Rashad Evans and Anthony Smith didn't see Jones' attacks coming. How could they, when Bones had buried his fingers into their eyes? And then, of course, there was his fight with Alexander Gustafsson, the fight of the year in 2013, and arguably the greatest light heavyweight division pair-up in UFC history. An infamous eye poker himself, Gustafsson got a taste of his own medicine in UFC 165, when Bones kept going for the crazy fingers in the eyes approach. At one point, the referee had to run in there to give Jones a warning. Oh well, even the most seasoned challenger gets teary-eyed when Mr. Jones makes his move. To be fair, Gustafsson also left a gruesome gash under Jones' right eye, but his doctors didn't stop the fight. The fight was so iconic that their post-fight hospital photo blew up, where both men were pretty banged up. But while Gustafsson may have gotten his revenge in the ring, Daniel Cormier still doesn't see eye to eye with Bones. The scary part's that Bones feels no remorse for cheating. In fact, in his 2016 MMA documentary, The Hurt Business, an interviewer noted that Daniel Cormier had claimed Jones would intentionally use eye pokes in their fight, and his response was outrageous. He simply said, "It's very illegal, but I do it." Yes, he outright outright admitted he plays dirty. So no wonder he did the same in UFC 128 when he faced off with Lyoto Machida. He may have lost his first round in his short MMA career, but not before landing a sweet, painful eye poke to the champion. And as if the knee kick wasn't bad enough, Jones also rammed his fingers into Rampage's eye sockets. In UFC 135, everyone knew Jackson had a puncher's chance in Jones' first title defense, but not more. But you have to give him credit either way because he managed to last 4 rounds. But when Jones stuck his deadly fingers into Rampage's face as he was loading up to strike him in the 3rd round, it was obvious who was gonna win. Now, some of y'all would say maybe Jackson's just a wuss when things don't go his way, but let me be honest here. The knee kick was deadly. Like, Jackson said his knee is still messed up from their fight because it had literally gone hyperextended. But being the king that he is, Rampage still played it cool, saying that he wanted to win the fight the right way. Though he added that he knew every fighter isn't like him when it comes to playing clean. I wonder who that's directed to. Rampage still thinks Jones' dirty tactics must be banned. Even MMA has got to draw the line somewhere, right? And speaking of banning, here's my favorite illegal Bones move: the spinning elbows. Yeah, what's that all about, Jones? Even Jackson reminded everyone about how those spinning elbows landed at the back of people's heads. That's dirty, even by Jones standards. And no one has more hatred for this move than Chael Sonnen. Now, it's no secret that the two have had a long-standing feud, with Sonnen firing shots at Bones' dirty ring tactics. Yep, it's been 8 years since the bloody UFC 159 clash, but looks like they still have bad blood brewing. Now, I'm sure you remember how vicious Jones was in that fight, stopping Chael with elbows and punches on the ground. In just the first 5 minutes of the fight, Bones proved to us how he got that name in the first place. From the opening bell, he took Sonnen down repeatedly with his trademark elbows, the ones that smack into the back of your head. And before Sonnen could do anything, Jones landed uppercuts and hooks to the body with another spinning elbow in close quarters. Then he added a vicious knee to the body and a final barrage of the nasty elbows before Peterson had to intervene. No, seriously, how is this man still allowed into the ring? But if I have to end with the dirtiest thing he's pulled in the ring, I can't forget the deadly Teixeira jab. This is the kind of stuff straight from a fighter's worst nightmares. In UFC 172, Jones shoved his fingers so deep into Glover Teixeira's face that John's finger went inside his eye socket. I'm not even exaggerating. The move was so gruesome it made me throw up. Don't believe me? Take a look at it for yourself if you haven't already. Now, some of you might say, come on, he's not playing dirty. MMA is just a violent sport. Don't be a baby. And yes, many critics have even said that Jones stayed at the top for a decade because his fighting style incorporates Muay Thai. But don't be fooled, folks. Muay Thai uses gloves and knee pads, because without them, you just end up with a bloody eye and a shattered knee. So that's it for why Jon Jones is the dirtiest fighter ever.